perspective on hating
David
drivers.
Yeah.
One of the guys that we were with this weekend. Just,
Somebody
yeah.
hated David Rudiman.
Well,
So
he
weird.
says he hates them because they're terrible and they're taking a spot, a driver's seat of someone who could be good, I guess.
But that's why I hate Furniture Row racing. But that's more legitimate because Furniture Row really does suck. Rudiman actually won a race and looks like he could be making the chase this year.
Yeah. I just don't know how. I said I don't get how you don't like somebody like that. How do you not like somebody? Well, because he didn't like Scott Speed either.
Well, basically, he's saying if you're there and you're not good,
he doesn't like you.
Get out and give someone else a chance.
Well, then fine. The Nationals aren't good, so let's just cut them out of Major League Baseball then.
But they give the Braves so many wins every year.
All right, I see what you're doing there. Nice segue. All right, we're done with NASCAR for this week. Now, Kyle here was going to be on, probably would have been on like a month ago if it weren't for the idea that you want to talk baseball. And I was like, well, let's wait till the All-Star break. So here we are,
and
All-Star break.
That was after Chicagoland, so
yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, it kind of worked. I think it's really worked out really nice. You guys know way more about baseball than I will ever know, or will ever care to know. I'm not going to lie about that. For anybody who thinks they say I know everything. I obviously do not. But there's lots going on.
Wow, a moment of
humility.
Moment of weakness for Doug.
Not weakness, just honesty. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick recap of the 6 divisions, then get some predictions and all that, and maybe talk about other things. First we got to talk about, the no-hitter that happened. The perfect game no-hitter.
Yeah, it was
Chris,
cool.
You're going to have to take over this one.
No, it was
Explain
cool.
what happened.
Actually, well, unfortunately, we probably even get to see as much coverage as we normally would have because we were at the racetrack. But Kyle and his family actually dropped me off, and I got into my house. And, Kyle, when they have major stuff like that, they break into the local coverage on ESPN.
Yeah.
And I turned on ESPN, and I saw him pitch. I saw it live, the last pitch, and he called the strikeout, and that was all I knew was because first of all,
what's the guy's name?
Jonathan Sanchez, is that right, Kyle?
Yeah, Jonathan Sanchez.
But the interesting thing with the no hitter is that he
Giants.
wasn't even supposed to start. The only reason he started was because Randy Johnson, who threw the last perfect game no hitter, was injured, and it was just very interesting because he almost got traded. It's very interesting how it worked out.
Yeah, he was filling in. Wasn't that what it was
for Johnson?
And this was a guy, and I remember hearing about this on the radio. He was brought up previously and then sent back down, and then he got brought up again because of Johnson.
Yeah,
there you go, Jonathan Sanchez, which is a no hitter,
and he was 2-8 before the no hitter.
Oh, that's more opinion than it is.
2-8, but Kyle, doesn't it? I don't know if it's just me. Doesn't it seem like recently the no hitters always come by those people that are like 10-10, 9-7?
Well, it takes a certain amount of luck, though, right?
Yeah. Well, it
actually,
does, kind of.
if he had a little luck on his side, it would have been a perfect game if it weren't for friggin' Uribe.
Well, yeah, because think about it. I agree with Doug because think about this. I mean, think about how many games pitchers pitch that are just 1 or 2 hitters. So if you just get that one to bounce your way, then you might get it. And
it helps playing a team like the San Diego Padres, who have almost no offense.
Yeah, they never come against like the stacked team, do they?
No.
So it's just and it's just. But I think that has to say something about the luck involved when it's typically recently it's 9-7 pitchers or 2-8 pitchers or remember a couple years ago the Marlins pitcher? Where is he?
Dontrell Willis?
No. Remember? I don't even remember his name.
That's
the point. That's the point. There was a Marlins pitcher. Do you remember this?
I remember Burley threw a no-hitter.
There was a Marlins pitcher that threw a no-hitter, and where is he now? Exactly. That's my point.
I don't even remember that happening.
Although Burley is a big name, so is Verlander, and they both had no-hitters.
And Johnson was a big name when he threw the
perfect
game. Yeah.
But, recently it seems like it's kind of those random ones. But still, congrats to him. That's awesome.
Well, I think it's interesting. I was going to say about it being like a no-hitter. It's that think about like a no-hitter. How many of the outs come from guy getting thrown out at first or second or something or not necessarily second, but guy getting thrown out or a pop fly or something like that. Part of that's the pitcher too, but you have to have the offense around you. Unless you're getting everybody striking everybody out, it's not all you. It's everybody else too.
Which was also what was so dominant about him. He struck out 11 batters.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, he didn't walk anybody, which I guess shows that this no hitter was even a little more dominant than some of the other ones we've seen.
Yeah, because it could have been a no hitter with only a walk going against him, or something like that.
Yeah, and it was flat out a perfect game except for the error.
Yeah.
So
you also need a good defense if you're going to be inducing so many ground balls. And then, I mean, it was one error away from a perfect game. So
yeah. So it's the kind of thing
So
where
if he was on a better team, they could have hit it.
so it's the kind of thing where at least it wasn't one of those, you've seen it before, one of those no hitters with 3 walks or 4 walks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it was actually pretty dominant.
What, A-Rod's up? Well, I'm gonna walk him to keep my no hitter intact.
Oh, that'd be interesting. That would. Well, I don't think. I bet if that ever happened, they might do that, but it wouldn't be an intentional walk.
I think if you were facing a team with A-Rod on it, you wouldn't have to worry about throwing a no-hitter because there's plenty of other guys on that team that could get
Well,
it.
because you're probably playing the Yankees, and you got Jeter and the rest of those guys, whatever their name. Oh, Texiera. I know. Teixeira.
I don't like him.
Okay, back to what we were originally going. We're gonna do a quick recap of basically everything that's happened in the last 4 months. Kyle, go.
Yeah. Well, let's start.
Okay, we're gonna start in the AL East.
No, actually, well, Kyle, do you want to start?
Do you want to start in the NL
We'll start in the
Central?
NL. No, we'll start in the NL for Kyle. We'll start in the NL East.
Okay,
we'll
NL East. Kyle, your team is sucking.
NL East, the Braves are bad. No offense. They can't hit. Their pitching is okay. Their big prospect, Tommy Hanson, the pitcher, which they would not trade for Peavy earlier in the season. So know they expected him to be really good, and he's come in and he's pitched well. So
so he's
that's
doing
encouraging.
Good. I was expecting him to be like, he's been terrible. We should trade for Peavy.
No. He's been good. But they're below 500. They're 6 games out.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
They don't have a chance to win.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing I'll say. Here's the thing I'll say about actually several divisions in baseball at this point this year.
Almost
Actually,
all of them are up for grabs.
If you would have been on a week ago when the Phillies didn't go on this little hot streak, I would have said that they would have had a better chance. I think the Phillies are starting to heat up now, and
the Phillies have that division. No one else is good enough.
Because otherwise,
the Marlins are in second.
Well, because sure, Kyle, I'm sure you would agree. I mean, even with the Braves, the Phillies took a long time, but I think that division is pretty terrible.
Yeah, at the beginning of the season, it was probably between the Phillies and the Mets have had tons of injury problems.
And you forget
poor performances.
They don't know how to play defense.
They can't play defense, of course. So I think the Phillies have this division locked up.
Wait, I think the Nationals might come back.
22.5 games.
I heard something about that 22.5 games. I'm glad you said that. That is I heard the second or third most games back at the All-Star break ever. But think about this. Think about this. Not only does that say that they're bad, but the division, because you got to take the division leader into you got to take that into consideration. The Phillies are not even that great, and they're still 22.5 games back. I think that says more about how terrible they are.
I'm just glad the Nationals are in my team's division, so that's
you can feast upon them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I always felt about. No, I'll get to that later. I have a question for you guys. This is much my perspective as an outsider. Phillies last year kind of made the postseason, but then got hot in the postseason, and that's how they won it all. Is this a team that can be dangerous in the postseason that'll probably kind of limp their way in, but then get hot again? Is that what they're known for, or was that like an aberration?
I think the Phillies are a better team this year than they were last year. That's what I think.
I think they are too. They got Ibanez in the offseason, and he's been great for him. He's injured now, but he'll be coming back. And if they stay healthy, if their team is completely healthy in the playoffs, they will be a threat.
The last couple years they squeaked in, but they'll be fine this year.
All right, so let's go to the Central now.
Another terrible division, let's be honest.
But still, I mean, they got a team like the Cardinals who seem to be, from the outsider's perspective, a contender every year. And then they got a bunch of other teams that are not doing so well. Go.
This division, this is
the Cubs division.
Well, I said this before we started. I was talking
500 baseball.
I was talking to Paul about this. This division, the NL for the most part is pretty terrible, except for 2 teams. And I don't see the car. I don't know about this division. This division to me is literally up to grabs.
I think for this division,
I think so too.
It's going to come down to whoever has a late season run
and just enough
will just barely get there, and then the season will end, and they'll get into the playoffs, probably lose right
but
away.
who knows? I mean, because the Cardinals a couple years ago did that barely at 500.
Yeah.